Today, we're diving into an AI student handbook that's doing something a little different. It's not about banning AI, it's about mastering it. And honestly, this could be a whole new blueprint for how we learn. So let's get into it. So, right off the bat, here's the big question on everyone's mind, right? Students, teachers, everyone. When you can get an answer to pretty much anything in seconds, what does learning even mean anymore? Is AI just a superpowered cheat code to get you through the semester? Or could it be something more, like a genuine coach for your brain? And that exact tension, is it a cheat code or a coach? That's where we have to start. Because this isn't some academic debate about the future. Nope. This is happening in classrooms right now. I mean, let's be real. AI tools are everywhere. Trying to ban them is like trying to hold back the tide. It's just not going to work. And that's forcing this huge question on all of us. Are we watching the end of critical thinking as we know it? Or are we maybe, just maybe, standing at the beginning of a totally new era in education? So, how in the world do you deal with that? Well, instead of just talking theory, we're going to look at a real-world example of a group that's tackling this problem head-on. It's time to meet the AI Venture Coach. So this whole new approach actually comes from Bahrain Polytechnic for their Lean Startup course, which is pretty advanced stuff. They didn't even try to ban AI. Instead, they did the opposite. They built a whole framework to teach students exactly how to use it the right way. And here it is. This is the tool at the very heart of their model. It's called the W8009 Venture Coach. Now, pay attention to the wording here. It's not designed to give you answers. It's designed to help you think, to help you ask better questions, and ultimately to make stronger decisions. See the difference? The whole point is to support the student's own brain power, not replace it. So the big idea here is to completely reframe the AI. It stops being a search engine and becomes a true thinking partner. And they break that down into three main roles. It's a mentor, there to kind of guide your thinking. It's a research assistant, helping you dig into complex ideas. And it's a feedback tool, helping you step back, reflect, and get better. It's a collaborator, not a calculator. And when you start thinking of AI as a partner instead of an answer key, something really cool happens. The entire philosophy of learning starts to shift. You move away from just hunting for easy answers, and you start a much more important search. The search for evidence. And this is so crucial. In this course, having a cool idea is basically worthless if you can't back it up. The entire focus is on testing your assumptions with real people, with real data. The AI isn't there to hand you a brilliant startup idea. It's there to help you figure out how to poke holes in your own idea and see if it actually holds up. And you can see how this plays out in their learning cycle. It's a constant loop. You start with knowledge, you take action, build something, talk to people, and then here's the key. You gather evidence. From there, you reflect on that evidence, what worked, what didn't, and you use what you learned to improve. The AI coach is meant to help at every single step of this process. Okay, so that all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But how do you actually get students to use AI like this? Well, let's get practical and look at the actual rules of engagement. Okay, this slide right here is probably the most important one. The handbook teaches a really simple truth. The quality of the answer you get from AI depends entirely on the quality of the question you ask. Just look at the difference here. Is my idea good? That's a dead end. It gets you nowhere. But the strong question, it gives context. It sets a goal, and it asks for a process. It forces the AI to be a strategist, not just a dictionary. And they make the boundaries super clear. Good use is all about the process, getting feedback, figuring out how to test things, asking for questions that force you to think harder. Bad use? That's all about outsourcing your thinking, copying and pasting, using stuff you can't explain yourself, or, the big one, asking the AI to just rate your report for you. And really, it all boils down to this one simple golden rule. This is it. This is the ultimate test of integrity when you're using AI. If you can't stand up in front of the class and explain the work, defend your reasoning, and answer questions about it on your own, then it's not really your work, is it? So does this whole framework actually hold up in the real world? Let's check out a case study from the handbook that shows this entire process in action. So the project kicks off with a pretty simple idea, UniRide, a carpooling app just for university students. It's a classic startup concept, right? But at this stage, it's built on nothing but assumptions. So the student used the AI coach to figure out how to design good survey questions. Then they went out and actually talked to people, collected some real data. And bam, here's the bombshell. The big assumption was that students mostly cared about saving money, but the evidence told a totally different story. 65% of students said their number one issue was safety and trust. And this slide just perfectly captures the transformation. On the left, you got the before, a generic app based on what the student thought people wanted. And on the right, you have the after, an app completely reshaped by evidence. It went from a vague idea to something with concrete features people asked for, like verified student accounts in a rating system. Even the core sales pitch shifted, from just save money to safe, affordable travel. That is what learning with evidence looks like. So what's the big takeaway from all this? From this one course and its little handbook? Let's kind of zoom out for a second and look at the future. Because here's the thing, this isn't really about one startup class in Bahrain. This is a potential blueprint for how we can bring AI into almost any subject, not as a vending machine for answers, but as a real partner that pushes us to think more critically. So if you boil this entire model down, it really comes back to 4 simple ideas. First, you've got to frame the AI as a coach, not an answer key. Second, you have to focus on the art of asking better questions. Third, everything you build has to be on a foundation of real evidence. And finally, you have to demand that students can truly explain and own their work. Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. In a world that is just drowning in answers, this whole model suggests that the most valuable skill you can have is knowing how to ask a really good question. So I'll leave you with this. What if your next big breakthrough isn't another answer, but is just one great question away?